short. Today we're doing some stuff, starting with this. It's a short Wikipedia. It's funny. Blimp Master of DC Comics New Earth.
Great, we're having multiple videos tonight.
No, we're not. Real name in mainstream universe was 1986 to 2011. Real name unknown. Main alias Blimp Master. Based on Operation Scarful City. Status arrangement bad. Identity secret. Citizenship American. Characteristics gender male. Origins universe New Earth. Creators Brian Q. Miller. First appearance Batgirl. Volume 3, number 12, September 2010. Around this time, Stephanie Brown was Batgirl. Blimp Master is a villain who uses blimps. All that we know about him was he appeared in... his two appearances are Batgirl Volume 12 and Batgirl Volume 24. His history is... Blimp Master... Hang on, there's only 2 images featuring him as well. Yeah, but his history, he's also a Batgirl villain. His history is... Blimp Master planned to blow up City Hall with his blimp before he was stopped by Batgirl. She noted he sweated a lot.
What's that make a difference? What's the fact that his sweat glands make him sweat a lot matter?
He's smelly.
Okay.
He's a chubby little fat kid. I'm not kidding when I say that. No offense to any chubby little fat kids. But look, he's a chubby little fat kid.
That's why I was asking. Because sorry, if you're obese, you sweat. Or if you have diseases that make your sweat glands produce too much sweat, you sweat.
But anyway, we are reacting to this video by Mr. Rogues.
Superhero stuff.
No, you said Batman.
Phantoma, the first female superpowered crime fighter in comics, made her first appearance in Jungle Comics number 2, published in late 1939 by Fiction House, a now defunct company. The writer and artist was Fletcher Hanks, going by the pseudonym Barclay Flagg. In the first story, merely 6.5 pages long, we meet Phantoma, the mystery woman of the jungle. Nothing about her backstory or character is revealed. She is simply a strange entity that guards the jungle. Which jungle, you ask? Well, that's never specified either. It's just the jungle. Phantoma has immense powers and can see everything that happens in this jungle. No evil deed or even intent goes by her unnoticed. And as soon as she senses something is afoot, Phantoma springs into action. To stop evildoers, the mysterious woman has any power imaginable at her disposal. Seriously, she can do anything. If you thought Superman was overpowered, well, he's got nothing on this gal. In fact, no rules whatsoever are established as to what she can or cannot do. She's basically like Mr. Mxyzptlk. Her default look is that of a beautiful blonde woman, but when confronting villains, Phantoma usually shapeshifts into a skeleton.
We're doing nerd time. Mr. Mxyzptlk is a Superman villain who is a 5th-dimensional imp. Or, as he calls himself, being from the 5th dimension.
Like I said, he's an elemental, because that's what imps are.
That, but also demons. Some are demons, some are not. It depends.
No, they're not.
Face demon, sometimes just a flying skull even. In later stories, the flying skull would be dropped. She would instead take the appearance of a blue-skinned skeleton lady. Why this freaky transformation? That's never explained either, but it sure is creepy looking. Maybe it's to scare criminals, as they would hardly be afraid of a blonde bombshell. Although, considering she can just wish the crooks into toads or mist, she doesn't really need to scare anybody. Anyway, in the first story, Phantoma guides a dying royal elephant to the elephant graveyard. You know, the supposed place where all elephants go to die. Meanwhile, there's a pair of ivory hunters tracking the elephant, hoping to follow it to the graveyard and become rich on all the ivory tusks. The greedy bastards. When they finally reach the fabled destination, Phantoma traps them, sealing off the exit. exit. The two hunters are now stuck with all the riches in the world, but can't do anything with it. In a sudden fit of greed, the one stabs the other, but he too soon sinks into quicksand, both of them dead. The story ends with Phantoma admiring her handiwork. The character immediately became a mainstay in Jungle Comics, appearing in every single issue. The second story features a pair of thieves in the jungle, planning to rob the ancient city of gold. The mystery woman naturally stopped these two as well, but decides to give them a more bizarre punishment. She transforms them into weird green creatures and sends them on their way back to civilization, where they'll be shunned as freaks.
We'll have fun trying to find any of them.
This is when the Phantoma stories were starting to get really weird. The most bizarre act she ever committed was probably in Jungle Comics number 7, where she transformed 4 crooks into one man, then dumped them in a pit filled with tall green-skinned monsters. I don't know if there's some kind of method to this madness, or if it's just madness. For the first 8 or so issues, most of the villains fought by Phantoma were pretty ordinary criminals, although they were always really over-the-top evil. Most of them were after riches or to rule the jungle, and they used any means necessary to reach their goals. Kill everybody in the whole freaking jungle, whatever, as long as they get to rule that fucking bush over there. I don't know why so many people wanted to rule this jungle. What the hell is so special about it? Very badly written villains, in other words. Stereotypical evil cartoon characters. However, later in the series, the villains began to get weirder. You had one guy called Angel Eyes, whose parents were killed during an expedition in this jungle. Angel Eyes' reaction was to blame the jungle itself, and now he must exact revenge upon it, killing every living jungle creature. To do so, he employs giant chemical men, although only their hands are visible. The rest of their bodies are translucent. If Fletcher Hanks wanted to do a story with giant floating hands, why not just do that? Why do invisible giants with visible hands? Did he have to think so backwards? We also had a similar villain named Lomax. This guy wanted revenge on the jungle itself too. You see, one time he had a really bad day in the jungle, and that's certainly no overstatement. First, he was attacked by a lion who ripped the flesh off of his bones. Then as he crawled away, struggling to survive, a man-hating elephant, yeah, that's what it says, tossed him into a dirty river filled with poisonous gnats. Lomax then crawled out of the river, his face completely swollen from all the poison. And as he did, a giant snake grabbed a hold of him and crushed his bones. Then
probably toilet paper.
a giant gorilla jumped out of nowhere, grabbed him, and took him to its lair where it tortured him for months. The gorilla tortured him. Finally, Lomax was somehow able to escape and receive help. So, is this the greatest supervillain origin of all time or what? The Joker's one bad day completely pales to this shit. In another story, we had Arco, the immortal super...
Joker falls into a vat of chemicals and become crazy. This man got tortured by the whole fucking animal kingdom.
That would have been fun.
Scientist mummy of ancient Egypt. Indeed. He wanted to make Phantoma's jungle into a new Egyptian empire, and thus resurrected every single mummy across the world, teleported them to the jungle, and commanded them to kill everyone. It's always kill everyone in the jungle with these guys. The weirdest villains of all, though, must simply be the Vahines. Appearing in Jungle Comics 13, this was a tribe of women who rode on tigers while standing up. Their goal is to kill all other women in the entire world. Why? Who the hell knows? They started off with the women of the jungle, because of course. I don't know how anybody still dare live in this damn jungle. You're a sitting duck just waiting to get murdered by some bizarre, insane villain out of the fever dreams of some crazy drunk. Phantoma always takes her time, too. She always gives them a warning first, then sits back and watches as they go on ahead and kill away anyway, until she finally interferes, waving a finger and turning them into chicken soup or something. She could have done that earlier, as soon as the villains had their nasty thought, but no. Anyway, by issue 15, the publishers of Fiction House finally had enough of Fletcher Hanks' madness and kicked him off the title. At least presumably. He left after issue 15, and nobody knows why. Well, I think it's pretty obvious why. He was replaced by a guy called H.B. Hoovius, although this appeared to be merely a pseudonym. This Hoovius guy made Phantoma into a more normal character. She no longer transformed into a skeleton appearance, and also no longer had omnipotent powers. She still had powers, pretty undefined ones too, but not too extreme ones. The stories were pretty standard to your basic jungle adventures. This change wasn't very popular though, as Phantoma went through another change in issue 27. Here, Huvius revealed that Phantoma was in fact the fabled daughter of the pharaohs, destined ruler of the hidden city of Kefra. After discovering the ancient city in a valley, she claimed her role as its queen and protector. So yeah, now the Phantoma tales went with an
I missed
Egyptian
the
theme
older
in the
ones.
jungle. Apparently, this change wasn't
I
very
like the
popular either,
skeleton
as at
look
issue
better.
51, published in 1944, the Phantoma series was cancelled. The character never returned during this era, and thus faded into complete obscurity. However, in later years, hardcore comic fans began to rediscover the character, and she has since made a bit of a comeback in indie and underground comics. Her most notable appearances would probably be in the Hack and Slash series, published by Devil's Due Publishing in 2009. Also, the Pathfinder Willscape series, published by Dynamite in 2016. In these comics, Phantoma is briefly teamed up with other public domain heroes of old. So yeah, that's the first female superhero. Not what you expected, right? You gotta wonder, being the very first of her kind, why the hell did he make her so weird? Hey, I've got an idea for a superhero. Let's make it a woman. Yeah, let's also make her really fucking weird. Because his writing is so insane, Fletcher Hanks has become a bit of a cult figure in the world of obscure comics. Nobody really knows what went through his mind when he wrote these stories. The man was apparently an alcoholic, so my bet is he was drunk out of his mind. He only worked very briefly in the comics field, from 1939 to 1941, then dropped off the face of the earth. Like I said, he left Jungle Comics for unknown reasons. Almost nothing is known about his life after that, and one day in 1976, he was found on a park bench in Manhattan, frozen to death. He was penniless, probably having spent his last money on booze, and then passed out on the bench. What a tragic ending to this very strange man. I've included a link to Jungle Comics in the description. They're free to read, and it's also perfectly legal, since all of Fiction House's comics are in the public domain, so nobody can say I encourage anyone to crime. You should also stop talking about sites that feature Marvel and DC comics in the comments. Anyway, if you want to, read these crazy stories for yourself. They're not good, at least not in a traditional sense of the word, but they're certainly not boring. The Phantoma stories begin with issue 2 and ends with issue 51, although the Fletcher Hanks stories end already with issue 15. Those are the ones you want to read anyway. The rest is forgettable. In the next video, I'll finally do another comic review, which I haven't done in a long while. I'll be taking a look at the latest Two-Face arc from Detective Comics, Deface to Face. So stay tuned for that.
Not
And
in
as
the
always,
next
remember,
video
Arkham
of
Asylum.
this one. Wow. Like I said, we might as well, since these are all in a playlist, we might